Yeah, hello, assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Bilal, and in this video I'm going to tell you about automata and transition function. So first of all, I'm just going to give little bit introduction about automata. Basically, the word of automata, yeah, this word has been come from the word of automatically. So the definition of the automata is this, if you give input to one thing and after that, yeah, the thing is gonna be work automatically, or the thing is gonna be run automatically by itself. So this procedure is called automata. So if you say I've just given the example of the automata over here, compiler or generator. Basically compiler and generator, yeah, both of them they are the example of automata. If you are going to give when you give the input to the compiler, yeah, so once you give the input to the compiler and the after the automatically the compiler is gonna be run by itself. So this is called automata. So now I just written down one heading over here, why we use automata. So why we use automata? Okay, due to these three things here we use automata. The first thing is this the error. If when you make any program and after that if any error is going to become in the program, yeah, so automata tells is there any error come in the program or no. So for that thing, yeah, automata uses. And the second thing is this for testing. So when you make any program, yeah, and after that you need to test the program. So for testing the program, yeah, we use automata. And the third thing is verification. So basically we use automata for verification as well. Now after that, yeah, I'm just going to give little bit introduction about transition function as well. So what is transition function? So here I've just written down the definition of the transition function. It shows the behavior of automata. Basically transition function, yeah, it shows how the automata behaves. So from the transition function, yeah, you can recognize easily how the automata is behaving. Now if you say I've just written down two questions over here. Now I'm going to solve these two questions in this video. The first question, when we move on, so first question is this: make the automata from the given transition function. So basically the transition function is like this. So if you see the first one, this sign is called delta, and this sign, it is the sign of transition function. So when you are going to make transition function, or when you are going to see the transition function, yeah, so definitely first of all you are going to see the sign of delta. Why? Because this is the sign of transition function. So now if you see the transition function, the first sign is delta, and after the in the bracket you see q comma a and is equal to p. Now I'm going to just make automata from this transition function. So this is my first question, and now I'm going to solve. So first of all I'm just going to give the heading quickly of solution 1, because that one is a question 1. So that's all I'm going to write down over here, question 1. Okay, the transition function which I've got it is delta q a is equal to p. So basically this is the transition function. Now if you see in the question, I have to just make the automata from the transition function. So now I'm going to give the heading of automata firstly, because I'm going to just make the automata from that transition function. Okay, now as you know, I'm going to just make the automata. So first of all I want to just tell you something about the automata. So in automata there are two things come. The first thing is state, and the second thing is transition. So in the automata when you are going to make automata, yeah, so these two things is gonna become in every automata, like the first thing is state, and we show to state, or you can say like the sign of the state is like circle, and the sign of the transition is error. So when you are going to go on any state, when you are going to reach on any state, so state you are going to write down inside the circle, and transition, this is error. Basically like transition it uses due to this, like you can move from one state to another state. So now like this is the given transition function. So now I'm going to make automata. So if you see like I'm going to first of all like solve the bracket. So in the bracket, like if you see, there are two variables come. So the first variable is q. So every time like in the bracket, if there was going to be first variable or first value, so definitely like the first value or the first variable is going to be your first state. So your automata starts from the transition firstly, and first of all like after transition, you are going to just like make the sign of state. And if you see in the bracket, the first variable is q, so it means like the first state of the automata is q. Now after q there is one variable come, which is a. So every time in the bracket, if there was going to be the value or the variable which comes secondly in the bracket, so that variable or that value is going to be the input. So first of all like I just wrote it down over here. I just like draw the transition, then circle, and inside the circle I've got the state, and after that again I just make the transition. Why? Because like now I have to just like take the input from the state of q. So input is going to be a, so this was the a. So that's why like I was on state q and I took the input a. Now if you see, is equal to p, so it means when I was on state q and I took the input a, so I reach on state p. So now I made the automata of that transition function. It's very easy, like what you need to do in the bracket. First of all like you have to solve from the bracket. So in the bracket, the first value or the first variable is going to be your first state. So first of all like you have to just like make the transition firstly, and just make the sign of the state, and inside the circle you have to write down the first state. And after that, the second variable or the second value inside the bracket is going to be your input, which you take from the first state. So I took the input a. Now I see it is equal to p. So that's why like when I take input a from the state q, so I reach on state p. So now I made the automata from that transition function. Now I'm going to solve the second question. So the second question is this: make the transition function from the given automata. So there are two automatas. Now I'm going to make the transition function from the automata. Now again I'm just like going to give the heading quickly of solution 2 now. Okay, so the automata, the first automata, I've got it. A took the input 2 and reach on state B. Now first of all I'm going to make the transition function of that automata. So I'm going to just like give the heading of TF, like TF, it represents to transition function. Okay, first of all like as I told you, the sign of the transition function is delta. So first of all I just wrote the sign of delta. Now I make the bracket, and in the bracket the automata is going to be start from a. So first variable in the bracket is going to be the first state, which is a. I've got it from that automata. Now from state a I took the input 2. So here I'm going to write down 2. because I told you, like, every time in the bracket here, the second variable or the second value is going to be the input. Now when I take input 2 from state A, so I reach on state B, so that's why I'm going to write down is equal to B. So this is the first state, and I was on state A. I took the input 2, so I reach on state B. So now I made the transition function of that automata. Now this is the second automata. Now I'm going to just make the transition function of that automata as well. So now this is the second automata, the automata A state, then take one input, then reach on state B, then take again input 1 and reach on state C. Now I will just make the transition function of that automata. So again I'm going to give the heading of TF quickly. Okay, now again I'm going to just make the sign of delta, which is the sign of transition function. Okay, I just make the bracket. Okay, in the bracket the first variable or first value is gonna be the first state. So first state I've got it A, so I write down over here A, now comma, now on state A, yeah, I take the input 1, so here I write down 1, so I reach on state B, so it is equal to B. Now I did complete until here B. Now I have to complete from B to until C. So I say and again make the sign of transition function. Now again make the bracket. Now I'm on state B, so here I write down over here state B. Now from state B I take the input 1 again, so here I write down 1, so I reach on state C, so it is equal to C. Now I did make the transition function of this automata. So I hope you understood about what is automata and what is transition function. I hope you understood, you've got a little bit knowledge about automata and the transition function, and I already have been just showed you how you can make the automata from the given transition function and how you can make the transition function from the given automata. But still, if you've got any question regarding automata and transition function, so you can comment me and I'll try to reply you as soon as possible. So if you like my this video, so please like my video, subscribe to my channel, and if you can, so please press the bell icon as well. So inshallah, next time I will just come up with a new topic. So until that time, Allah Hafiz and take care of yourself.